The woman just stopped in front of the shop window for a few seconds. She was immediately noticed by the stranger next to her. She politely nodded at the man. Then she quickly turned and walked away. But on the way, she suddenly realized that the man had actually followed her. She started walking faster. But the man still closely followed behind. Ignoring the danger of traffic on the road, she hurriedly crossed the road and ran to the other side of the street. She thought she had shaken him off. But when she turned around, she found the man right behind her. "You're wearing the same shoes." "What?" "You're wearing the same shoes. You're wearing the same shoes. You're wearing the same shoes. You're wearing the same shoes." She felt like the man might have some mental issues. She just wanted to escape from there as soon as possible. But the man refused to give up. Blocking her way, he said to her, "I am in a very cold place right now. Would you like to have a cold drink together?" "I really want to drink. But I don't have any money. I don't have any money. I give up." Perhaps it was out of pity for the man's plight. Or perhaps she was attracted by the man's handsome appearance. Shashi went to the coffee shop with the man. She also paid for the man's drink out of her own pocket. The man introduced himself as Nagata. He is a playwright at a theater. Nagata has a decadent and lazy temperament. He always manages to say some novel phrases during conversations. The other person looked like a melancholic artist. Sassy slowly started to develop feelings for him. They chatted from afternoon until evening. They also exchanged contact information before parting ways. However, Sassy was unaware that her acquaintance with Nagata would turn her life into a nightmare. Nagata is indeed a playwright. But he is a failed playwright. In the beginning, to fulfill his dream of being a playwright, Nagata and his friend moved from the countryside to Tokyo. He believed he was a genius. But the audience seemed unable to see his talent. The scripts he painstakingly created received nothing but negative reviews after the performances. On the evening before meeting Sassy, Nagata had an argument with his colleagues at the theater. The performance of Nagata's written play failed. His colleagues advised Nagata to revise the script based on audience feedback. However, Nagata found his script very interesting. He argued that the ultimate reason must be the audience's fault. He believed that the audience's lack of taste was why they found it unappealing. The audience doesn't like it because their level is not high enough. He felt that his talent was insulted. So he started attacking his female colleague in front of him. He mocked the appearance of his female colleague, saying that she is obviously not pretty but still has a good self-esteem. After the argument, Nagata went home alone. But on the way, his colleague caught up with him. The colleague ambushed him with an umbrella. While he was on the ground, the colleague kept swinging the umbrella at him. Nagata has never been able to make money, and has always lived in poverty. She spent all her time writing scripts. But her efforts did not get any reward. This kind of life is always filled with anxiety and unease. She also doesn't know how long this kind of life will continue. Until this day. While strolling on the street, she met Sashi. At that time, Sashi smiled at her. She started to see that smile as a lifesaver. After briefly spending time with Sashi, she suddenly discovered Sashi's warm smile, which could alleviate her anxiety and unease. So after that, Nagata started actively asking Sashi out to meet. Sashi is very beautiful. During dates, she often gets hit on by other men. But it's strange. Nagata always stands aside from a distance each time. Perhaps to consider Nagata's feelings. Sashi would say he won't accept others hitting on her anymore. However, Nagata says it's okay, explaining that he just doesn't like talking to strangers. During the date, Nagata gradually learns everything about Sashi. He finds out that Sashi is a college student about to graduate, also hailing from a remote countryside like him. He discovers that Sashi is very cheerful and sunny. Even during a walk, she happily skips and jumps around. After that date, Nagata uses Sashi as a model to write a script called The Optimistic Girl. He shows the script to his good actor friends. The actors praise it as the best script Nagata has written. Nagata invites Sashi to play the lead role in this script. Sashi happily agrees. Because her dream is to become an actress. Her purpose in coming to Tokyo is also to pursue this dream. During rehearsals, Sashi diligently studies the script, carefully focusing on every character's movements. Sashi is very serious and professional. Everyone in the theater was impressed by Sashi's dedication. Because of Sashi's performance, Yanada's script received audience approval for the first time. But at the celebration banquet, Yanada was not very happy. Because everyone was praising Sashi. They all felt that Sashi saved the theater. So Yanada took down the play. He put up plays that were not popular without permission. Later, Yanada, unable to pay rent, moved in with Sashi. They started living together. And officially became a couple. Sashi's performance in the play gained Yanada a lot of popularity. Yanada also started gaining female fans. Whenever a female fan asked to meet him, he would accept without guilt. And every time he betrayed Sashi, he would give Sashi a brick. And every time, Sashi would be amused by this quirky and artistic gesture, laughing heartily. Yanada understood in his heart Sashi had complete trust and indulgence towards him. But Sashi's love and indulgence towards him also made his sense of guilt stronger. Finally, one evening, he gave Sashi a normal gift. The gift is an ordinary wallet. However, Sasha was moved to tears. Looking at the pure and beautiful Sasha in front of him, Yoneda's guilt reached its peak. He started rejecting his female fans. And he no longer betrayed Sasha. Although the life of living together with Sasha is warm, but Yoneda's theater still has no improvement. He has nothing to do at the theater. He can only stay at home playing games idly. On that day, Sasha's mother sent food from their hometown. Sasha was unpacking the package. While joking with Yoneda, "My mom said she didn't want to send me food originally, because the food would be eaten by a stranger. But my mom was definitely joking. Otherwise, she wouldn't have sent it." However, Sasha's joke hurt Yoneda's fragile self-esteem. Seeing Yoneda angry, Sasha could only apologize while asking Yoneda not to scold his mother. But Yoneda did not stop, accusing Sasha's mother of looking down on him. In fact, Yoneda understood in his heart that his anger was baseless and very childish. He felt he should apologize to Sashi. But strangely, he was reluctant to speak up. So he chose to sulk and leave. He used the silent treatment to avoid the conflict he caused. He sat outside for a long time, blaming himself over and over in his heart. He knew his life depended on Shax's relief. He also knew he had a sensitive self-esteem, although he understood the reasoning. But for him, it was very difficult to do. After returning home, he saw the apology letter left by Shashi for him. Shashi blamed himself for not being able to speak in the letter, asking Yongtian to forgive him. Yongtian forgave Shashi. He began to eat the food Shax's mother sent him with a clear conscience. After this incident, Yongtian began to realize that Shashi accommodated him to the greatest extent. This accommodation made him more confident in this relationship. Although he lived in Shax's house, he had never paid rent. Sometimes he earned money at the theater, but he only spent the money on himself. Occasionally, he would buy books for Shashi. But when he returned home, he found that Shashi had also bought the same book for him. Shashi was very happy, because it showed their hearts were in tune. But Yongtian was very angry. He loudly accused Shashi of wasting money. After getting angry, he regretted it. He realized that Shashi bought the book to make him happy. Just thinking about this, he became more and more agitated. Because Shashi is becoming more beautiful and kind, it only highlights his ugliness and despicableness. Shashi borrowed a motorcycle at night. The motorcycle was borrowed by Shashi from a male classmate. It's obvious that Shashi has a good relationship with that male classmate. Shashi enthusiastically shared it with her. But she couldn't help but doubt Shax's relationship with the male classmate. She felt jealous while doubting. But she didn't dare to express her feelings. So she rode off on the motorcycle, leaving Shashi behind. She rode the bike in circles nearby. And every time she circled around, Shashi would appear at a fixed spot. To cheer her up, she circled many times. Shashi also popped out from the roadside many times. But every time, Yongtian never responded to Shashi. After many times, Shashi suddenly got tired, and finally gave up. During Yongtian's last circle, she noticed Shashi had disappeared from the roadside. That night, Yongtian waited at home for a long time, until very late when Shashi finally returned. Nagata asked Sashi why she was angry. Sashi retorted by asking why she never dared to stop. "You left me on such a dark street. Have you ever thought that I might feel scared? Sometimes I really don't know what I am thinking. Sometimes I really don't know what to do." This is the first time Sashi has been angry with Nagata. It also made Nagata feel Sashi's tolerance towards him is not without limits. Nagata was very angry. He took advantage of Sashi being asleep. He smashed the motorcycle borrowed by Sashi. The next day, he lied to Sashi, saying the motorcycle was damaged in an accident. This incident had a big impact on Sashi, because that bike was considered a treasure by his male classmates. Sashi started to be afraid to go to school. She also slowly became like Nagata. Like Nagata, he stayed at home all day, playing games all day like Nagata. Sashi gradually neglected her studies. Gradually started working outside to support both of them financially. He worked as a salesperson in a clothing store during the day, and as a waiter in a restaurant at night. Compared to Sashi, Nagata seemed much more relaxed. He always slept until the afternoon every day. Then I went out and wandered aimlessly on the streets. He would stay out late before coming home. After coming home, he pretended to be very tired in front of Shashi. A meager income from one person certainly cannot support two people. Shashi started asking Yangtian if he could share some of the electricity bill. What's the reason? I don't know. Well, indeed. No one would spend someone else's salary. It cracked me up. That day, Yangtian and Yayuan went to see someone else's play together. She has always held herself in high regard. But this time, she was moved to tears by someone else's work. But upon learning that the playwright was about the same age as her, the jealousy rising in her heart made her feel that the work was nothing special. She realized her mediocrity. She was also afraid that Shashi would discover she really had no talent. She started to fear being with Shashi. She also started going out often and not coming home. This state continued for a year. Her self-proclaimed talent still remained undiscovered by the audience. Sometimes she would get drunk. Every time she got drunk, she would go find Shashi. She would wake up Shashi, who was sleeping in the middle of the night, and unload all her negative emotions onto Shashi. That day, she happened to find out. Shashi had never mentioned to her friends that she was a playwright. Her fragile self-esteem was once again hurt. She felt that Shashi always looked down on her. Nagata's accusations made Shashi start doubting and negating herself. Shashi started to feel like a bad person, suspecting that she had unintentionally hurt many people in the past. After that, Nagata intentionally started to ignore Shashi. But every time she got drunk, she would run back home in the middle of the night and lie down next to Shashi. Shashi would wake up and talk to her, but she chose to pretend to sleep and not respond to Shashi. Nagata's silence and cold treatment were subtly changing Shashi. Nagata noticed that Shashi wasn't laughing much anymore, and also noticed that Shashi was drinking every day. Alcohol made Shashi numb. It also gave Shashi the courage to express dissatisfaction to Nagata. Nagata seemed to have been stripped of her veil of shame. She could only use anger to cover up her guilt. That night they had a fierce argument. Shashi also showed hysteria for the first time. Shashi regretted falling in love with Nagata, and hated herself for not having the courage to leave Nagata. Shashi was no longer cheerful and sunny. The Shashi who was once seen as a ray of light by Nagata had completely disappeared. Yuta tried to salvage the situation, trying to make Shashi return to her former self, but all his efforts were in vain. Shashi still fell into darkness passively. Shashi started refusing to communicate with Yuta. She no longer responded to Yuta's care and kindness. Yuta felt Shashi drifting away from him, but he didn't want Shashi to leave his side. He took the initiative to pick Shashi up from work, only to be told that Shashi had left work early with the manager. He asked Shashi what she did at the manager's house. Quietly rode his bike home with Shashi. Along the way, Yuta kept reminiscing about their sweet past. Yuta kept talking to himself, while Shashi just listened silently. He took Shashi to see the cherry blossoms before dawn, walking with Shashi on deserted streets. At this point, Yuta didn't understand. He could no longer win Shashi back. The old Shashi loved him very much, so his small gestures could make Shashi happy, and bring joy to Shashi. The old Shashi was very tolerant of him, so his tiny efforts could make Shashi give her all. But the current Shashi had been worn out by him. Shashi has become increasingly depressed nowadays. His friends around him have also noticed the abnormality. The actor came to advise Yangtian. With a serious expression, he asked him to break up with Shashi. The actor has known Yangtian for many years. He knows Yangshan's personality and way of handling things the best. You don't really love Shashi that much. You're just using him to cover up your inferiority complex. Everyone thinks you lack talent. Only he has always thought your script is well written. You're afraid that Shashi will eventually discover your mediocrity, so you want to destroy him first. Only after destroying him will he not abandon you because of your mediocrity. The only person you love is yourself. That's why you're unwilling to let go. Yushin did not refute the actor. He knew what the actor said was all true. Yushin returned home that evening. Shashi told Yushin about his decision to leave Tokyo. Shashi said he felt as if he were sick. He no longer felt suited to survive in Tokyo. In fact, both of them knew deep down, Shashi wasn't actually afraid of Tokyo. He was actually afraid of staying by Yushin's side. Perhaps because there was still a trace of kindness in his heart. Yushin calmly let go of Sashi. Sashi left Tokyo after that evening. Sashi left in a hurry. In such a hurry that he didn't even pack his belongings in the house. Yushin, while packing things, discovered the script that Sashi had acted in. The script had always been cherished by Sashi. The end of the script had Chase's comments. It was only then that Yushin understood. Throughout, Shashi never thought he was mediocre. Initially, he always suspected that Shashi looked down on him. Always getting angry at Shashi for no reason. Initially, she intentionally or unintentionally ruined Shashi. And now she realized that things could have had a better outcome. She sat alone in the empty house for a long time. Until hallucinations appeared in her mind. In her fantasy, Shashi returned to her side from childhood. She and Shashi resettled in this small house together. She turned her and Chase's story into a romantic play. She brought the play to the stage. She is the leading man. Shashi is the leading lady. In her fantasy, their story was very popular. Every performance at her theater was sold out. In the play, she was a considerate boyfriend. In the play, she depicted the beautiful future of her and Shashi. In a daze, she suddenly realized. Shashi on stage ran down to become an audience member. She looked on with relief. As an audience member, Shashi was moved to tears by her story. However, fantasies are not reality in the end. Perhaps in reality, Sassy is not crying because of their love story. What Sassy is crying about might just be her once beautiful but ruined life. Perhaps in reality, Yoneda's new script still won't be liked by the audience. Her theater still won't be full of people. She will still live without any achievements but with a sense of self-importance. Arrogance and inferiority seem contradictory and opposite. Yet they can strangely merge into one person. Perhaps everyone has an idealized self in their hearts. We hope to become the ideal version of ourselves.